Looks like we're doing it live.
Do it live.
Let's do it live.
All right. Well, we are back again for another exciting episode of the RSG Podcast. I am Ryan Eastep. With me is Mr. Watson.
Hello.
And Mr. Connor.
Don't sound so enthusiastic, Ryan.
Well,
you know. It's another exciting episode of the RSG Podcast.
Oh,
I suppose. Thanks for the introduction, Yo. I appreciate it, bro.
Well, I built the house, but it fell down. I guess it should fall down. Anyway, we have a few things to talk about today. There's a league we found out, which we will be participating in case you're wondering about that. Yeah, it's fantasy football meets League of Legends, so Fantasy League. It's pretty cool.
League.
We'll be discussing Godzilla. We all saw that the other day.
Yep.
New game out, or was coming out, called Watch Dogs. Is it Watch Dogs 101? Is that the game?
Well, it's just Watch Dogs.
This is Watch Dogs.
Yeah, and it comes out on the 27th or 28th, I believe, of this month.
It's crazy stuff, man. It's like, what is it, Grand Theft Auto meets a whole bunch of other things. I just had an analogy and I forgot it. Awesome.
Need for Speed.
Well, you said
There
Grand
you go.
Theft Auto meets Need for Speed, but the two of them are very similar, so I'm not sure that
Well, it just
the
said
analogy
that
works
like,
that well.
you could steal cars and have
It's like
them delivered.
Grand Theft Auto
and
meets The Matrix, but
kind of the Matrix. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Dude, what is going on?
With what?
You.
you're
What's that
making a
noise?
ton of noise over there, bro.
No, sorry, I apologize.
You should apologize.
I do.
It's not good enough.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Connor, which topic of those would you like to start off with?
Well, let's start off with Watch Dogs.
Okay.
Not a whole lot to really go into. Well, there are some things, but it's coming out on the 27th. It is a game that has really piqued my interest for a number of reasons. The first reason
And
is...
what are those reasons?
Well, the first reason is everybody, all the NPCs in the game basically build a digital profile. And you can hack and see those digital profiles of anybody you come across on the street, which I think is pretty neat. It lends a lot of... I don't know how much it actually comes into play in the game, but it lends a lot of... what's the word I'm thinking of here?
Atmosphere, reality.
Yeah, a lot of atmosphere to the game, and I think that's pretty cool. The other thing is the multiplayer looks really interesting because it's supposed to be seamless with the single-player game. Basically, the way it's supposed to work is at any point, another player can come across you within the game, and if they accept the challenge of trying to basically hack you, then all of a sudden they're in the game with you. Now, the whole point is that in the beginning you're going to be kind of close to them, but you're just going to look like an NPC. So if you play it cool, you might be able to, hack them until the time's up, and then you win. However,
Cool.
right. However, they can try and flesh you out by. In the example I saw, the guy started firing his gun into the air and watched all the NPCs scatter, and anybody who didn't scatter.
Oh, clever.
Right. The problem
Right.
with that is that it also drew the attention of the cops.
Yeah, you're going to get busted.
Right. So
Yeah, but why wouldn't that guy just take off and run? Like,
because he has to stay near you. He has to stay within a certain amount of feet of you for it to the hack to complete.
So, but I see what you're saying, Ruben.
got
Like, run away, then try again.
right.
And he can.
Yeah,
that's definitely part of it. But also at the same
I'm
time.
not sure how I feel about...
Ooh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say at the same time it's...
I'm not sure how I feel about always on PvP. God damn it, will you either go ahead or not go ahead?
Well, I don't know if this is something that you can enable or disable myself. So
Right.
If you can disable it, I don't see the problem with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay, yeah.
But if
Yeah, I'm
you
just not sure I feel
basically
about the always-on PvP aspect.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having that turned off and like do what I want when I want. I don't want like if I'm just playing the game for fun or half tired, I don't want someone coming and jacking my stuff.
right, and I'm willing to bet that you can turn that off. I don't think it's necessarily going to always be on, like against your will. I think that would be a silly move in this day and age.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would never happen.
I am noticing kind of a trend with this game. This is the second game that I've seen that has it, but like I think it's the District or the Division, one of the two is coming out here soon. Has the ability for players not actually on their console to play in the game with players by using their mobile devices, i.e. iPads, Android pads, tablets, stuff like that. This game kind of has the same thing. Like you can log on and control police helicopters or stuff like that from your phone,
Right.
or basically any mobile digital device. It's pretty cool.
Right.
I really dig that way, yeah, because, I mean, my schedule's kind of jacked up, so jump on and mess with somebody on my lunch break or something, that'd be kind of fun. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of options for playing, and I really like how connected the world is because that's really one of the lines to the game is that everything's connected, and you can hack a lot of different stuff, and you can use it to create diversions or to impede people who are trying to chase you down and shoot you. Pretty much anything you can think of, you can hack. Anything from traffic lights to blockades to overloading steam pipes and stuff like that on digital controls. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the world, and that really creates a really nice interconnected atmosphere that I think could be really good. Hopefully it doesn't come off as just a cheesy gimmick, but they really integrate it well into the game.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I do kind of have one complaint about the game so far, looking at the character design. The guy can't close his coat. He's got like one piece of Velcro across the chest. That's a terrible coat. That's all I'm saying. Carry on.
I'm glad you brought up that fashion point,
You're
right?
welcome.
Yeah, your input was...
It's,
it was just kind of bugging me because the guy's like running around. It looks like he's got a kind of a cloak on or whatever, but it's his coat, and it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of cheesy for me, but whatever.
Says the guy who dresses up like a samurai.
Every Tuesday.
Wow. Okay,
Every
so
Tuesday.
aside from the fashion, I don't... Okay, look. You see this kind of thing in movies from time to time, where like somebody is hacked into the system and is controlling everything. In the movies, this is always a two-character operation.
Yeah.
Because while you're running and getting shot at, turning off like electronic doors or whatever, it's hard to do at the same time. How are they going to work that in the game, you think?
That's true.
Everything is
basically... What
I mean? The hack is, from what I understand from the storyline, is set up somewhere else, but he has interface access through his phone. So as you're running, you can basically hack things with your phone.
All right.
More or
In
less.
gameplay mode, how does that work?
Yeah, searching for signal.
Do you have a separate controller to run and a separate controller to work your hack with?
You
still have to select something, right?
You place your cursor over whatever it is you're going to hack that's in your visual line of sight. For instance, if it's a traffic light, you just place your cursor over it, and then there's usually like a square button or X button or something like that pops up and allows you to hack it. Most of the hacks only have like a two-way interface in reality. They're either this or that. You know what I mean?
Right.
That keeps it simplistic for the most part. So it allows you to still connect to everything, but also keeps it so it lends itself well to gameplay.
Right. But
what
if I want a third option?
Yeah.
Well, I just told
what I
you that doesn't exist, so your third option doesn't exist. You don't get a third option.
Wow. I mean, I just said you can't have what you want.
That doesn't make me happy. Not gonna lie about that.
What is your
like,
third option? Do you want to turn all the lights yellow instead?
Right, maybe. Maybe I want to just flash the lights like a strobe.
I'm just saying, your third option is what exactly?
Well, the traffic light, I suppose you only do really have two options.
Most
You can either let people go or try and make people stop, one or the other.
in most things that you're going to be hacking that are not like people's profiles, only two options are necessary for the most part. Like if there's a barricade, you're either bringing up the barricade or you're putting it down. What else do you want exactly from that? You see, that's what a lot of those options exist.
Okay, I understand that, but is there a timer on the barricade? Do I have to stop and turn around and target the barricade?
Do you have to stop and turn around to target the barricade? You just need to be able to put
let's say the cops are chasing me,
okay,
and I target the barricade and I hack it. Does it come up right then?
Like that second? That's a great question. I don't know. I haven't played the game yet.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, are there options
with it not being out yet?
It's why it's a two-player job. You
keep saying that,
in all the movies.
Without having played it, we don't. Well, it's also not a movie; it's a video game. So.
Yeah.
Are there any hands-on trailers? Like I know it's coming out.
There's a few.
There's a bunch of hands-on trailers.
There's a few of them. There seems to be some delay because a lot of the time I'm seeing him basically run through red lights or run through green lights and then hacking it as he's going through it and turns it red. Some things might not be as easy to hack, and without stopping, turning around, and targeting it. I don't know. I'm not sure how. I know if you look, all the things that you're hacking have lines that so you can see basically what your hacking options are in the area coming back to your character. And I don't know if those are attached to certain buttons or you cycle through them. I don't know if we're positive, but my guess is that they can do it. They can work around it. My hope is, anyways. It's possible that it's just too clunky of a system to be enjoyable. That's always possible.
Right. Yeah. Or it's either going to be, I think it's going to either tend towards clunkiness or gimmickiness, one or the other.
Well, to be fair, games that aren't clunky are clunky to you because you have terrible hand-eye coordination.
Snap.
That's a fair point, sir. I'm not arguing with you.
I wonder if in the multiplayer, I'll have to do more research on it, but I wonder if in the multiplayer you can do kind of co-op as opposed to always like versus. Like, I mean, would I be able to jump in and help you escape from things, like hack into things for you?
Well, they showed a short cooperative like multiplayer in there, but I think you're right. I think it would be cooler if you could do a more in-depth, like Roby was talking about earlier. A lot of times you see a two-person job. If you have somebody helping you hack things, while you're doing the running and gunning.
I mean, that would be really fun. I think that would be really cool.
Could be a good dynamic.
It's sort of like they have the like the app game for your phone, but the opposite. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Speaking of all the in-game games within this game, I like the one where you can do parkours throughout the city, but it's almost like a platformer where you got to collect coins and stuff like that.
Right.
You can create them and stuff, and then the one where you get to walk around and like a ghost in the shell tank and start wrecking stuff and see how long you can survive. I like the option for all these little mini games within the game too. It's a good way to keep something fresh for a long period of time, in my opinion.
Right. It's a good way to keep people paying for the online pass.
Exactly.
Yeah. Long after they've gone bored with doing the same thing over and over again.
That's right. We got sweet new races for your thief's car to go through.
Right. Exactly.
Yep. So, anyways.
Earn the red Lamborghini.
I think
earn the yellow Lamborghini.
I think the game looks pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the reviews on it and getting a bit of hands-on time with it.
It's on every platform. I mean, it looks like what? PS3, PS4, Xbox One, 360, PC. So, I mean, looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep. It could potentially be really good, or it could potentially suck very badly. We'll just have to see which way it goes. They pushed it back so many times that it's hard to tell what direction it's really going to go in.
Right.
Wow, this game...
Because just because they pushed it back doesn't mean they made it better.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's got a lot of mature ratings.
Look at Duke Nukem Forever.
Oh my gosh.
Oh. Yeah, I was kind of irritated. The trailer promised me nudity. I didn't see any nudity.
Yeah. You talking about for Watch Dogs, or you talking about for Duke Nukem?
Yeah, for Watch Dogs.
Oh. Well, they have a new. What was that? Wolfenstein I just saw recently coming out.
Yeah, Wolfenstein.
Yes.
Oh, some things.
I like the twist in that Wolfenstein, but.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
I want to talk a little bit about this Fantasy League.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
League
have to
League.
admit, I don't know that much about it, guys.
Well, it's not. It's relatively new.
Yeah, it like literally launched last Thursday or Wednesday.
League.
One of those two was when they introduced it to the world. You can now draft a team of neckbeards or skinny nerds without beards, I suppose, to be on your fantasy team for the League Championship, League of Legends, like Championship Series, I guess that's called. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
follow
the
the
LCS.
Pro League
But you're
very
right.
much.
The league LCS is League Championship Series. So yeah.
Right. But I find it fascinating, this, like, Fantasy League has traditionally been a sports thing for a long time. And traditionally speaking, now I know that this is a stereotype, but jocks and nerds don't really get along, you know? So it's
True.
interesting to me that they've basically evolved the same sort of types of competition. You know what I mean? Like, people play fantasy football because they can't really play football, but they still want to feel like they're part of it. Like they can compete against each other, you know? So even those who are no good at games will find a way to compete against one another.
Yeah, I think it is interesting. I don't think it's that surprising really to me because you take a game that's as competitive as League has become, and it's really the next like natural step because it's a competitive sport and males, even if they're nerds, are still competitive.
Right.
So it is an interesting thing because now they're really mirroring each other. These two groups of people that generally dislike each other, and it's turning into a whole new thing.
Well, it's also interesting that this esport is large enough to, they think, support this sort of additional competition. You know what I mean? This is additional industry on top of what they already have.
Well, here's an interesting side note. I believe it is. I had my doubts at first, but I found out fairly recently that when they first launched the Fantasy LCS, because it's really just in beta right now,
Right.
the amount of people that hit that server to sign up shut the damn thing down.
Wow.
That's how many people scrambled to sign up. They broke it.
Just assuming they
That
had
used to
a
be an
decent
impressive
server.
thing to me, but it happens all the time
Ooh.
anymore.
Ruby said he's not impressed.
Well, here's
But
the thing. It's
I get
actually
your point. No,
it's more impressive, I think, now than before because these guys should know what kind of numbers they have. Number one, number two, server loads can take a lot more than they used to be able to.
True.
I granted all that, but they still have somebody who's in charge of making those admin decisions. And if he didn't prepare for that many people, it's going to get shut down.
Well, which means one of two things. Either A, they didn't prepare nearly enough and they undershot by a lot, or they prepared for what they thought was a reasonable to high number of people, and even more than that joined. Either way,
Right.
there's enough people there to shut down their server. They have a pretty good idea of how many people just watch, the LCS. I mean, their LCS streams by themselves. Now, this doesn't sound like a lot as compared to primetime TV, but their LCS streams run 150 to 300,000 strong.
Right. I wonder what their numbers, their web traffic numbers were.
Yeah, it's an excellent
You know what I
question.
mean?
Like in comparison to people who watch the stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know.
Because I went to the site, check it out, but I don't watch the stream, so
Well,
it'll be interesting to see what those comparison numbers are like. And it'll be interesting to see if they have weekly games? I mean, I don't know anything about the LCS.
It's not generally weekly. It's actually a number of games throughout the week. A lot of times, with a few days off here and there.
Okay.
Is usually the way it runs.
Every team's going to have more than one game a week?
Sometimes there are some teams that will have multiple games throughout the week, and then there are teams that only have one or two one game throughout the week. And then there's what they call Super Week, which is like every team's going to have 3 or 4 games, throughout that week.
Okay. How long does the season last?
The season, basically throughout the regular seasons, there's a summer split, the spring split, are the two main ones. Right now we're going into the summer split, which is, the spring split is really sort of like the pregame to the summer split, and it really determines who to look out for in the summer split. The summer is the big one, and that will lead into the World Series, in fall, maybe.
So a couple of months.
Yeah.
Was the answer to my question?
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
It's interesting.
So, how many total games do you think we're talking about here?
Well, that's a really good question. I don't follow it closely enough to know exactly how many, but you usually see like 10 teams, 10 to 15 teams, depending on because some of the teams are relegated, basically meaning that they didn't quite make the cut. And so what happens is they play through a season or most of a season, and then the bottom contenders will fight the relegated teams to see who basically becomes a wild card and gets into the finals.
I mean, I'm looking here on the website, looking at the LOL esports, and there's a ton of teams and a ton of games. I mean, there's like at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 a day for like the week straight.
Right. And they're long. The games run anywhere from a half hour to 45 minutes on average.
Yeah.
So,
some days have more than others, obviously, but I mean, there's enough to keep you interested.
Well, it's much like sports. You'll sit down for the day, and watch. Yeah. And then you can go back. You can go back and watch like the highlights of the games that you really want to watch, teams you're following. Like I've like one of my favorite teams that I follow a lot is Team Solo Mid. They're have been a North American competitor that has been in the top consistently, but I don't think they've won a world championship yet. And a lot of times they get like second or third place, and it's pretty rough. But the world championships are pretty interesting because at that point you're seeing teams from Europe, from China, from Korea, from America.
Well, and aren't those other like Asian and European teams going to also be part of the league?
They're not part of the. Well, right now we're really focusing on the North American LCS, but there's also they're all playing for spots in the world championships.
Right, but I mean the fantasy league.
I don't know. I have no idea. Probably.
Okay, I thought that they were. I thought that all the teams were in the league.
Probably. I would imagine so. They all play at the same time.
League.
Yeah, they all play at the same time. They all play during the summer. So my guess would be yes, but I don't know for positive. I haven't looked that closely yet at the fantasy website because when I went to look at it, it was down, and I'm gonna try and get on there tonight to actually build my league.
We should definitely we should draft sometime, and we should live stream our draft.
Oh, there'd be a whole lot of me going.
No, can we do that, wouldn't we?
Well, yeah. I mean, if we're gonna put it up on YouTube with these hangouts, sure.
Well, quite frankly, if we're gonna do a live stream, we would need to do.
We could probably do like Twitch or something.
We'd have to do something like Twitch.
Yeah.
Right.
Which means now we got to set up a Twitch account.
I mean, that's too much work.
Well, I mean, it's always possible that we try and record it separately and then put it on YouTube, like upload it later.
Right.
But I personally follow the LCS a bit.
Right.
I don't.
But you're the only one of us who really does.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
I'm just fascinated by like the sociological aspects of it and the, because I mean, fantasy football drives a lot of additional industries. There are a lot of websites out there.
Oh yeah.
Generating a lot of revenue for like advice about fantasy football. I already seen several articles for advice on like who's the best mid lane to choose.
Oh,
who's the best support to choose.
There's a bunch of websites. There's a bunch of websites that exist outside of PvP.net.
Right.
For Fantasy League of Legends. It's not really that new, to be honest with you. It's just the reason why it's getting so much buzz is because PvP.net has launched an official site for it. But it's existed for a while, since before. So.
Which is interesting to me.
Yeah. I'm actually fascinated with the whole thing as well, not just on a social level, but I do enjoy watching the game. And I know you disagree with me on this, Roby, especially when it comes to the early game, but I enjoy watching the game. And I think the pros do a lot more interesting things earlier on than you're going to see. Well, not always.
We'll watch some games. We'll find out.
Not always. Like, you're not going to see anything really exciting happen until about minute 5 in most games. So.
Well, minute 5 is when something more exciting happens in most games that I play online, so it's usually like minute 10 before anybody really does anything.
Yeah, it's...
Like, in between that time, everyone tries to just hump their tower for a while and
you'll see a lot more, like...
some idiot.
Some interesting lane switches happening. People basically, 3-manning a lane, or not 3-manning, well, 2-manning with the jungler usually coming in and trying to get some kills, or push lanes and trading towers, and just you'll start to see the objective game that's played in a much bigger way in League than you're gonna ever see playing the game.
Right. Right. That's fair enough.
But yeah, interesting stuff on that front. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it does look really interesting.
We need a fourth person in our league though.
I wonder.
I don't know who it's going to be, but we need a fourth person. That's all I'm saying.
One of your brother would want to do it.
We could maybe get. I'm trying to think. I don't know. Harold or Clev probably don't really follow it.
I kind of want to draft Sanchez into it myself.
Well, there's. You know what? I take it back. I'm pretty sure Clev plays. So.
Yeah, he was a big.
They don't need to actually play. Wall. They just need to draft the fantasy team.
Well, I would like to get at least one other person who's interested in the damn game to play it. You know what I mean?
Do you know anyone else?
I just said Clev.
Well, can you get Clev to do anything?
That's a much tougher question.
All right, fair enough.
We'll have to all blow up his Facebooks.
All right. Well, maybe we can do Clev, and then he can join us on the podcast every once in a while. Talk about League.
League.
I'm looking forward to League.
Yep.
It's still kind of crazy, but yeah, I'll give it a shot. I'll see. I don't think I've ever really participated in a fantasy league, but this sounds kind of fun.
I do fantasy football. I do, and I enjoy that with my family. But it's a friendly thing for bragging rights. It's always good fun.
Okay.
Well, I mean, and honestly, it's not like you need to know, Roby, like that you just look at your league. You're like, oh, I won this week. Sup, bitches.
Right. Exactly.
you don't have to understand the game to know that you won.
Right. You could just track stats and be like, oh, this guy's not performing. Put someone who is performing in instead.
Yeah.
I don't need to know why he's good or what he's bad, like individual matchups and all that stuff. I don't need to know all that.
But hopefully,
like, he's going up against Chongyang Park. That guy always kills him, so don't put this guy in.
Hopefully, on the next cast, we'll have our league set up and we'll have some results, because I believe the LCS starts this week. So we might have missed a few games already. I don't know.
Yeah, it's already started.
Yeah, I thought so. But we'll see if we can set it up, and then we can talk about our results on the next cast. Hopefully, in our new location. Woo-woo!
Hopefully.
It'd be sad if I miss out on League.
You missed some games.
Just another chance to prove I'm better than you guys.
Dude, if you actually beat me, I will be sad, since I actually know the game and I know the players. So.
Me, on the other hand, I am fully expecting to lose.
Prepare to be sad.
I will have Olaf do everything, and he won't.
Dude, problem is nobody mains Olaf. You got to look at the players, man.
Could you you could name your team though, like the Brolofs probably.
The Brolofs. All right. Well, let's go ahead and take a step forward and kind of move on past this. Now, we did all see Godzilla.
Yes, Godzilla.
Let's discuss. First off, overall impression, you dig it?
I enjoyed it overall. Yeah,
Connor?
I did.
I would say I enjoyed it as well.
Same here. So this is not going to be a hate-filled spoiler cast like we did for Spider-Man, because we actually enjoyed this movie.
Can you really spoil a Godzilla movie?
Well, no.
I mean, if you don't know that in the end Godzilla's going to kill some bad guys and move along.
He did it in such a boss way, too.
He really did.
Yeah. I mean, I really liked the way, like, the whole look of him. I mean, the remake that we saw, 4 or 5 years ago that had, like, Lizard Godzilla, where he looked like
Wow.
The one that, I know, I understand. I
No, your
understand.
sense of time is amazing me right now, because that was like 99.
Was
Yep.
it 99? Was it
Yeah.
really?
That was, let's say, 15 years ago.
That's how much I care about that movie.
All right.
But I mean, they made him out to look like a giant iguana, basically.
Right.
In this one, they actually brought him back to the 40s, where he looked awesome. I really dug the way they did him.
Right. I thought the graphics like around Godzilla were amazing. Like
Yeah.
they did him right. I love that when he like roared, his throat like rumbled and shook, his whole body shook when he was roaring.
Mhm.
You know?
There's a lot of things they did right. Like any of the shots with Godzilla were fantastic. The fights with Godzilla were fantastic. Some of the cinematic shots they had, really to give you an idea of the scale of Godzilla, were fantastic.
Yeah.
Or the
Right.
Mutos for the same. And then the rest of it was just meh.
Filler.
Yeah. And
Well,
the problem is there's like an hour and a half of filler. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we would like to see an hour and a half of Godzilla just wrecking stuff and fighting monsters, they got to make it feasible to the people, I guess, and not everybody really understands.
They didn't try that hard to even make it feasible. You know what I mean? Like we have Ken Watanabe's character who
Doesn't make any
couldn't
sense.
be any more like cliche and stereotypical than if he tried.
and useless. His character.
Right.
I was looking forward to Ken Watanabe because I like him, and I was looking
Yeah.
forward
Yes.
to him being in this. And it was he was supposed to be like some genius scientist who never was genius and was barely a scientist.
Right.
Yeah, he just stood there looking confused all day long.
That was his job. And to occasionally say wise things.
Yeah, to restore
somehow
balance.
He knew that Godzilla ruled Druid
That's right.
and was going to restore the balance.
That's
that was
right.
his job.
Yeah. Oh, the alpha predator.
Yeah.
But see, that's some of the things I really like. They really set up what could have been a great storyline, but they didn't really like dive into the characters. You're gonna have an hour and a half of people. That's fine. Make it
Right.
interesting.
Make it interesting.
Yeah, don't kill off Walter White in the first 20 minutes.
I thought Cranston's
Oh,
character was
spoilers.
one of the most interesting ones.
He was fascinating, and he did a great job. And
Right.
then they killed him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what you
I
get
mean,
for doing a good job? Death.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Oh. But I did think,
And,
well, there's a couple things I didn't like though, like, and I think you also commented on this too, Rubius, where, like, it took 15 years for that one to absorb enough radiation from that radiation power plant in order to hatch and become a monster, and
Yeah.
the other one, like, as soon as it got the call, it was like, all right, cool, we're ready, let's do this, and it just
Yeah.
kind of grew.
got super huge instantaneously.
Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing. There was probably plenty of radiation inside of that vault for that to work. However, if you want to go there, that's still
Let's
a bit
go
of a
there.
stretch. It's still a bit of a stretch. But the thing that gets me is that it grew and destroyed that building within a 20-minute time frame
Yeah.
of nobody knowing that it happened.
Yeah.
Right, while
Nobody
they were inside.
feeling- yeah.
While they were inside the mountain or driving up, you know what I mean? Because when they look out through the door or whatever, and you see where the monster's escaped at, it looks like it's about 20 minutes away at the pace at which it walks. 20 minutes ago, they were driving up along the road. It's desert.
They would see it.
It is flat land out there. They would have seen the giant kaiju walking around.
Yeah,
Had no
and
need to
'cause
go.
I
At which
mean,
point in time, they would have stopped bothering to go to Yucca Mountain.
yeah, the kaiju basically grew in 20 minutes, big enough to completely wipe out that side of the mountain, and get away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember looking at that and seeing it in the theater thing. I think they would have noticed that.
Yeah.
And
No,
walked
you
to
do.
Las Vegas in a very short period of time.
Yeah, recto Las Vegas, though.
That was cool.
Porcelain City.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of the other things they did though was pretty amazing. My favorite shot probably in the whole movie was the Halo drop.
That was
Halo
pretty
Drop
cool.
was an amazing shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was awesome.
Like,
And the music was perfect for it, I think.
yeah, it was just really good. It just gave you a really good, and like when he comes down, through the clouds, because he's above, he's in the stratosphere and he drops down, and it's daylight and he hits the clouds and he drops into what is darkness.
Yeah.
Probably because of all the soot and the fire and crap going on.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that Godzilla and crew they've been stomping about.
Yeah,
Right.
and he comes like down right beside them, and the kaiju and Godzilla fighting. It was fantastic.
Cool.
And, oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I was gonna say I really liked the way they had the kaiju speak, and when they did speak, their eyes, their lights or whatever, their internal lights would kind of flicker and move too, which I
Yeah,
really thought that was really cool.
I
Um,
enjoyed it.
I enjoyed also how they made like Godzilla's focus was getting rid of the female. The male was an annoyance because he knew the female was laying the eggs. So it's like that, like in San Francisco, that was the focus. I thought that was really cool. I don't know why. I mean, it showed that he was prioritized, that he knew exactly what he was doing when he got there.
Well, this actually
Right.
brings me to a point that annoyed me, however,
Oh,
which was that the main character, Brody, Lieutenant Brody,
Yeah,
who-
Ford Brody.
yeah, Ford Brody, who like just happened to find himself in the worst spot possible every single time.
yeah.
Oh no, his wife was way worse than that.
Yeah, giant kaiju
His
fighting.
wife
I'm
was
gonna
like
stay in the
Superman.
hospital.
Like everywhere his wife went in San Francisco, it got broken by Godzilla.
It's true.
Like everywhere she went.
Well, that's pretty bad, but San Francisco is a city. Godzilla's pretty large. It's not entirely out of the realm of possibility, as opposed to the entire world where, well, I just finally got out of Japan. It was terrible. I'm going to go to Hawaii now because that's, my connecting flights. Oh, shit, there's kaijus and monsters here too?
Oh man.
Right.
Oh, well, maybe I'll just go to San Francisco. Shit, they're here too?
Yeah. Well, he was using military transport, so he kind of
Right.
was.
So at that point, he's basically following the bad guys.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
Although, I mean, if you want to get into the military transport and stuff like that, I mean, they followed pretty close to Godzilla when he was swimming. I don't know if
Right.
I'd really want to get that close, especially with
Yeah.
nuclear reactors, like those nuclear-driven aircraft carriers, which, oddly enough, did not attract the kaiju.
Yeah.
But anyway, I
But
don't
they
want to.
found a sub.
That's
like-
true.
Well,
Like rather than going for like a ground, like something on the surface, like a nuclear powered aircraft carrier or whatever, they went for a sub.
let's be fair. There's
Eat
probably
fresh, man.
the reason why all these aircraft carriers and everything were staying so close to Godzilla were probably because of the kaiju.
That makes sense. I mean,
Yeah,
if they,
but like some of them were like too close to
No,
Godzilla.
you're right. They are too close. They could have
Too
been
close.
close. They could have been closer, or not closer, but farther away, and still been close.
Right.
So, yeah, without a doubt. But I think that's the way I saw it, was that the reason why the kaiju never attacked all the carriers and stuff was because it was right friggin' beside Godzilla. That's why he attacked a sub like way off the coast.
It's true.
Well,
Plus
that
he
was
needed
before
a
the
light
carriers
snack.
and stuff even existed. That was before Godzilla even made an appearance.
Was it?
Yup.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
because that was before Hawaii.
You're right.
Guys, we
you're
just
right.
They
need to
found
see
the
it
Russian
again.
sub on Hawaii.
We
You're
just
right.
need to see it again so we can report accurately here.
Just gotta go back and watch. I think my final verdict on it is going to be, I think it's worth watching in the theaters because the scenes that are good in the theater are going to be fantastic in the theater.
Yeah, and the 3D didn't really overwhelm you. Like there's a few times where I could take the glasses off and still be just fine with what was there. I think a lot of times with these monster movies and stuff in the 3D, they really try to make you immersed in it, make you feel like you're in the film.
And I
Well, they
hate
did-
when they do that.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
just did a good job of giving it depth rather than throwing it in your face.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Oh, here Godzilla's punching you in the face.
Yeah. But I really like the color changes when they went from like sky and sun to soot and burnt, and like you were saying. I really like that whole. But I mean that kind of brings me to a point now, and this will be the last thing I say to hate on. These things emit an EMP wave around themselves like a bubble,
yeah.
and so they're like, we're gonna take all of our $1 million fighter planes and throw them at this city. Oh look, they fell.
Right. They
I
fall
don't
open.
know. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah.
What's with
I
the
mean,
like?
I don't know.
Well, like, okay, they're on the Golden Gate Bridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have the scene where the tanks are just like pulling up and taking position on the bridge to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, really?
Not the best
Yeah.
place to set up your tanks.
It's let's fight a giant monster with our tank on the bridge, because that's going to work out well when he just breaks the bridge and
Giant
fall into
monsters
the ocean.
in the water, yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I think we just gotta.
Started shooting Godzilla too. They were like, "It's big, it's angry, just kill it."
Right.
You're just gonna make it angry.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you had a gun and Godzilla was after you, you'd still shoot at it.
Oh, probably.
You'd still shoot at it.
Yeah.
You know, you're not gonna not shoot.
My .22 caliber rounds will do damage.
Like those things don't even kill humans most times. What are you doing?
Oh. But overall, I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. I think I was more disappointed in spending $10.25 on a beverage and a box of candy, which is ridiculous, but I'm not going to get involved in that.
What you pay, man.
Yeah, you got to pay to enjoy sugary foods while you watch movies.
Listen, you're keeping the theaters open, which is important nowadays when theft is, higher than it's ever. But speaking of theft, I want to talk about Microsoft a little bit, the thieves that they are.
Ooh, okay.
They have recently, with E3 coming quickly approaching, which is exciting in and of itself, I think. An interesting announcement has come out from Microsoft and the Xbox team, saying that they are dropping the price of the Xbox to $399 as opposed to $499, and you don't have to have a Kinect anymore. It's not a requirement.
See, I don't like Kinect. I'm glad they're getting rid of it, or at least this option.
Well, Kinect would be a fantastic little tool if it fucking worked.
True.
Right? I'll grant them that this one works better than the one on the 360, but not by a lot.
Yeah, it's not like one of these things where it works flawlessly. I would say the 360 probably worked about 25 to 30% of the time. This one works about 50 to 55% of the time. So that's still a huge error margin. You can't really have that if you're going to force people to use the damn product. Once again, they overestimated the product and its ability to just recognize voices wherever you are.
Or even multiple voices in the same household.
Oh, yeah. It's just doesn't really work that well, unfortunately. It could work really well, but we just don't have the tech for it yet. At least not in a format that is affordable to the average user.
Right. I don't think the software is there yet.
But yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
And the camera positioning is wonky sometimes too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it thinks that me and Noah are the same person. So, yeah.
I guess it could sound kind of similar, but.
Yeah, you got the same haircut. So.
Yeah. But anyhow, so that's really good news, and I'm glad that they announced this first, because they said specifically that we want to make this announcement, get out of the way, try and recover from our foobar of last year's E3 when they announced the console, and get straight to the games, which is really smart.
Yeah. Can't wait to see more games for these awesome consoles that came out with no games.
Yeah, that's still...
I mean, sure, what's that game that everyone was playing? Was it not Firefall? What is it? Titanfall.
Titanfall, yeah.
Titanfall. I mean, Titanfall's fun, don't get me wrong, and I enjoy it, but you gotta have something else. I mean, for me to invest in something like that, there's gotta be something else.
There's a lot of games coming out, I think, end of this year, but end of this year is like a year from when the console was released.
Exactly. Right. A year longer than should have been to release extra games for it.
Like, these companies need to really start releasing games, like, at the same time they're releasing these consoles.
Mm-hmm.
Not a year afterwards. And the other really, that's a minor annoyance, because, unfortunately, we are, as consumers, all just idiotic, and we will go out and buy these damn systems regardless.
Oh, yeah.
And so they think they can just continue to do this stuff, and they will continue to do this sort of stuff until...
They don't think they can. They know they can.
They're pretty sure people are going to buy the systems just in hopes for awesome games. I mean, they launched it with Rise, Son of Rome, so they weren't really putting too much stock in.
And so many people were like, well, that game was pretty good. I'm like, no, it wasn't pretty good. It wasn't. This is a next gen. I mean, I understand the first gen of games on the next gen system is going to be mediocre. It's going to be Rise, Son of Rome is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
But don't pretend like it was a great game. It's not a great game. It's just not. They're like, well, it's like the combat in Arkham Asylum. You're like, yes, without all the cool parts that Arkham Asylum and Arkham City had. You know, none of the detective work, none of the interesting characters, none of the actual interesting IP. It was...
Well, the game made you play through it twice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like in the same playthrough, it was like, yeah, okay, you went through all this stuff in the north, now you're going to do it all again in the arena. Thank you, come again. So.
Hooray.
Yeah. Anyway, let's... that's so disappointing. Launch titles. But the districts are... Man, I always get them mixed up. Division? Is that what it's called?
The Division won't be... We won't be seeing that till next year.
Which is... I'm waiting for that one. I'll get the system for that game. That one's cool. In the meantime, this Watchdog 101... Or 101, wow. Watchdog, excuse me, is going to be good.
Yep. And then later on this
year... it's going to be a lot of fun.
We have Destiny coming out and a number of other titles. We'll have to do some more research into that. But Destiny is, definitely one of those games that is...
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. A lot of people are pretty excited for. And it's coming to the PS4, as well as the Xbox One, so that's good stuff. I wish they would support cross-platforming. I know this will never happen because Sony and Microsoft are never going to cooperate, but it'd be really cool, for the sake of the game to support cross-platform multiplayer. That'd be awesome.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Roby, do you and Connor, do you guys want to speak about the latest episode of Game of Thrones? I mean, it was more of a setup, but we can kind of touch on it.
I think it's been 2 episodes since we've talked about Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Might as well go ahead and start on it. So, this episode... Sorry, go ahead.
No, good. The episode, the first episode that we missed was the episode with Tyrion's trial.
Which was awesome.
Yes.
It was.
Everybody loves Tyrion.
Yes.
Well,
Dinklage is awesome.
Well, I was going to say, the thing about this is I always like Dinklage. I always like Tyrion's role in the series. This trial, however, really cemented it for me that Dinklage is amazing, and that he just really knocked it out of the park, I think. It was fantastic. I always thought he was good, but he hadn't had a moment like this to really, flex his acting chops. And he did beautifully.
Yeah.
In that episode.
I was so disappointed when it was over. I was like, no. Let's do more. Come on.
But this last episode was a lot of setup for the actual trial by combat. And it was
Oberyn versus the Mountain.
Yeah. It looks pretty fantastic. I personally like what they've done with Oberyn. I believe you said you did not like it, Roby, but again, I have not read the books, so.
I'm all right with it. I mean, they only have so much time in the TV show.
Yeah.
Like, in the books, Oberyn is mentioned a lot more, and people talk about him a lot more. And so he's sort of built up a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this is the first real episode where you get an idea of who's the badass in the realm.
Right.
They talk about Gregory Clegane, and they talk about the Hound a bit, and who's a badass. Because when you see that, Jaime tells Tyrion who Cersei has chosen for her champion, he's just crestfallen.
Right.
He's like, there's no damn hope now.
Right. Well, he knows that Jaime can't fight for him.
Right.
And
Jaime.
So.
Yeah, Jaime can't fight for him.
Even if Jaime could, even if he did have his arm, I mean, that's still the Mountain. It'd be an interesting fight, I think, to see.
If Jaime had his hand still.
You think he'd wreck him?
Good enough, he'd try it.
Oh yeah, he would. He would try.
And he might take him.
Yeah. I think I like what they finally did. They finally did with Bronn. I thought it was a really good scene between Tyrion and Bronn when Bronn basically said, "I'm not going to fight for you."
Right. Which needed to happen. That needed to happen.
It was for reasons that Tyrion was able to understand. You know what I mean?
It was for reasons that Tyrion was able to understand, and I like that, and I also like that that it just goes to show how far Cersei has gone to guarantee Tyrion dies.
Mm-hmm.
And that is fantastic. So it really sets it up well for what is going to be hopefully an awesome fight scene.
Right. I have a complaint about the scene with the mountain in last week's episode.
That it's the third mountain that we've seen?
Well, not only that's the third mountain that we've seen. Whatever. He's a tertiary character at best. He only needs to be around to do a couple of things. It's not important. Is he just standing outside the wall randomly murdering people? Like, what the fuck's going on?
That's what it looks like. I don't really...
Like they have some guards around that just murder these people. Just for practice, I guess. I'll be like, what? That's supposed to be practice? They're obviously not fighting him. He's obviously not practicing.
Well,
he's just randomly murdering people.
They weren't really fighting him because they were malnourished, prisoners.
Even if they tried to fight him, they couldn't
well,
fight him.
They tried. One of them did, and the other
one of them tried. The rest of them were just like threw their weapons down and got randomly murdered.
I think it was just a scene so Cersei could step on somebody's entrails.
Right. And so you could, we needed some blood and guts for the episode, and we had to show how awesome the mountain is. I'm like, well,
we kind of got it.
It's not that awesome, because he's just murdering random people who aren't fighting back.
Well, speaking of things that are a little gratuitous for no apparent reason, the Melisandre bath scene.
I knew you were going to say that.
No, let me finish. I felt that it wasn't. At first, I was like, "This is just boobs for boobs," which I'm not going to complain that much about because I approve of things like boobs. But I like how they worked it into the conversation, and it became a relevant part of the conversation.
Right.
And I just wish they would do that more often with the nakedness in the show. Is all I'm saying.
Okay, fair enough. I'll let you have that.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good point.
It definitely felt more.
I love that she basically just told that lady, like, I didn't have to feed Stannis, like, love potion to make him want me. You're just that ugly. And she was like, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, even in the book, she had such a sway on the wife.
Right, but it was crazy. I'm like, she basically just, like, straight up tells her, like, yeah, I didn't have to try. He doesn't even love you at all. He wants nothing to do with you. And she was like, yeah, you're right. You're still super cool. I love you.
Yeah, it was a very...
damn, that's sad.
It was like a very backhanded, like, comforting that she did.
Right.
It was good. It was a good conversation. I really enjoyed that part of it, and not just because Melisandre was naked.
Although that helped.
That's not going to hurt anything.
We have had a request to speak about Jon Snow from our one listener, which I thought was kind of cool. I mean, there's really not a whole lot, honestly, regarding Jon Snow in the movie here as of recently. I mean, I'm sure it's going to pick up, but... Well,
it's got to.
I'm sorry, what?
I think we're going to have an important scene for the end of the year.
Yeah?
Was it L plus B equals J? Is that the...
R plus L. J,
R plus L. Okay, I don't know.
R plus L equals J.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Right, Rhaegar.
Are you talking about the Caesar moment?
No. Talk about the...
No, the Caesar moment won't be this year. It'll be like next year or year after.
Okay.
They're talking about who Jon Snow's mother actually is.
Oh.
Right. No, they won't find that out. But this season is going to have an important moment, I think.
Right.
Because there's a kind of an important character that's been forgotten through most of this season.
Are you talking about the redheaded girl?
I am talking about the redheaded girl.
That is an important moment for Jon. It really is.
So I wonder how they're going to do that in the TV show.
That's interesting. I really hope. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm expecting that to be like 10, maybe.
You think?
Yeah. I think 9's going to be busy in King's Landing. Episode 8 is next week. There are 10 total episodes in the season.
Oh, wow. I forgot
8's next week. they're going to be busy with the Viper in the Mountain next week.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be important business. That's going to take up most of the episode, probably.
9's going to be King's Landing with Tyrion and Tywin?
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna. I hope they do that good.
Yeah, you have to do a lot of handling business there, and that's going to be the true climax of the season.
Yeah.
And they might throw it in there, too. They might throw it in episode 9. The wildlings might attack the wall as well.
Okay, yeah, and then end on like the giant battle.
Right. Well, the end on the battle. It's not really a giant battle, but with the wildlings attacking like unprotected Castle Black from behind.
Yeah.
So they'll have like that battle going on at the same time that Tyrion and Tywin and Jaime are working their business out in King's Landing. If not, it'll be episode 10.
Yeah.
But I'm also kind of expecting to see Stoneheart in episode 10.
That would be interesting.
Oh. Well, yeah, I wonder if they'll end on that. Like, everything's
Right.
done, and then it shows up. You see Stoneheart.
Because episode 10 is a lot of wrap-up normally. I also expect that there's going to be some important stuff going on with Arya.
Oh, yeah.
In 9 or 10. For sure, because they set that up in the most recent episode.
Yeah, I really like what they're doing with her a ton.
I can't wait to see what they do when she gets over to Bravo, or to the...
To Bravos?
The Bravos.
Yeah.
Yes, Bravos.
Yeah, that's exciting stuff. That's all next season, unfortunately, but...
Yeah, my guess is they'll end the season. In episode 10, you'll see Arya board the ship for Bravos, and she will sail away. You'll see Jon Snow sort of settling his business in the north. And there'll be some fallout in King's Landing from what happened in episode 9
Oh, yeah.
and 8, because it's going to get pretty busy.
It's going to get pretty treacherous in there, too.
And
yeah.
my guess is in 10 as well, we will see Littlefinger start to play his game.
See, this is what I want to talk to you about. You've spoiled a lot of this for me, and I don't say that in a mean way because honestly, I asked you.
Right.
But
I don't feel bad about spoiling it for you.
right.
Yeah.
But we've talked a lot about it. But what we have not talked a lot about in our spoiler sessions are Sansa. What happens with Sansa? What happens with Littlefinger? I had no idea. This was an entire surprise to me when he pushes what's her name?
Lysa.
Lysa.
Right
Yeah.
out the window.
Out the moon door. Yeah,
But they forgot a key part.
I love that first he digs her first. He's like, the only one I've ever loved is your sister.
Yeah. Because now I'm actually really interested to find out what's going on with Sansa. Because she's become a much more interesting character now. She's starting to mature some as a character, and she's not just woe is me all the time. So I'm really excited to see how she develops and how she ends up developing beside or in contrast to Littlefinger.
It'll be interesting to see just how much of Littlefinger's lessons that he intends to teach that she actually picks up. Because I think that he's going to teach a lot of things, basically, what he does. But, I mean, at some point, Sansa's going to have to, like, the teacher or the student becomes a master bit, like that whole cliche part. But, like, how much of his lesson that is intended does she actually pick up versus, like, how much she really picks up from him? You see what I'm saying?
I think, honestly, in the end, that Sansa will be his downfall.
I agree.
And not not just his obsession with her and her mother and how much she looks like her mom, but, like, literally, Sansa will kill Littlefinger.
Oh, like
I
straight
believe that's
up.
how it will end. Yeah.
Do you think she'll just, like, stab him or do you
shank
think,
a bitch?
you think so? Maybe
Yeah.
she'll send him flying out the window.
That's my prophecy.
It's kind of
Right
sad that he didn't blame it on the minstrel, though. That was one of my favorite parts
Well,
about
he
the
didn't-
book.
Having
He
it
didn't have
out
a
seems
chance
so
to, yeah.
Littlefinger.
Yeah, exactly. Having an out is the way he does things.
Right. And he didn't leave himself an out, really.
No.
Because he's going to say, what, she slipped and fell?
Nobody else was there but Sansa. He can say whatever he wants.
Yeah, but that's why it was even better to have someone there to blame it on.
Plus, he hates minstrels. He's always hated minstrels.
Right.
And what better thing to do than to blame it on a minstrel? I mean, that's
Well,
just like another Littlefinger thing that's so
that might be
Littlefinger.
true. But that doesn't really come across in the show at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So
It's not Littlefinger that hates minstrels. It's
I thought
Edmure.
Littlefinger.
Yeah, no, it's Edmure Tully. Because they made a joke about him because one time he couldn't get it out.
Oh yeah.
And so they made so the minstrel made a song about the floppy fish, and was not happy about minstrels
he was
forever
not
after
okay.
that.
I don't know
Not
why I
okay
thought that was
with him.
Littlefinger.
No, Littlefinger brought that minstrel with him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he traveled with him and everything.
Right, because that minstrel tried to hit on Sansa at their wedding night, which wasn't actually in the keep in the TV show.
Yeah.
And the TV show was in the Eyrie, but in the book it's not at the Eyrie,
right.
and it's not as awkward for everyone involved.
It was pretty awkward. Okay. Well, I think we're just about out of time, guys.
Yeah, we're running up on our hour, so.
Indeed.
Well, guys, it's been fun. Next week can't wait to see with episode 8, Game of Thrones. We'll talk more about. I mean, we're gonna have a lot of hands-on with like Heroes of the Storm too.
Have you guys watched the preview for it at all?
No,
Nope.
I haven't.
Ooh, looks good.
All right.
That's what we did. Me and my roommate immediately when we finished watching the show, we immediately go to YouTube and look for the preview for next week's episode.
Fair enough.
All right.
All
Well,
right, guys.
we'll have some more information on that next week, and
Yeah.
we'll see what happens throughout the week, and hopefully we'll have a new place maybe even next week to do this from.
Maybe we'll
Right.
see.
Maybe.
We're working on it. Super
We're gonna
secret.
draft our league.
League.
Yeah. Don't forget to do that after this.
League.
Before this weekend, guys.
League.
That
We have
includes
to set up
everybody
we have to like
who's listening. All 2 of you.
right. Also,
Greatest podcast
Yes.
that no one ever listens to. It's
Yep.
awesome.
All right.
And
I'm
good
sure
night.
it's the greatest podcast that no one ever listens
Dude,
to.
it's totally
It's the greatest. Good night.
It's just